The collapse didn't start with a press conference. It started with a post. Yesterday, Canadian officials believed they were on the verge of sealing a landmark economic and security agreement with the United States. By the afternoon, everything had unraveled. President Donald Trump took to Truth Social, declaring the end of all trade discussions with Canada. His reason? A 3% tax on digital services. He called it a blatant attack on America and promised new tariffs within the week. For Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, it was a stunning reversal. Just days earlier, he had spoken confidently about deepening ties with Washington. Now, his signature foreign policy initiative was in ruins. But what exactly was Canada's offence? A modest tax, 3% on the revenues big tech platforms earn from Canadian users. A policy already adopted across Europe, delayed for years in the hope of a global agreement. That agreement never came. The US, under Trump, walked away from the negotiations. To Canadian lawmakers, this tax was about fairness. If domestic businesses pay their share, why shouldn't global platforms extracting billions from Canadian consumers? But to Trump, it was an intolerable provocation. And perhaps more importantly, it was politically useful. Trump has styled himself as the defender of American companies, especially big tech. That loyalty has been flexible depending on the news cycle, but in this case, it served a clear purpose: to justify the next act in his America First sequel. What made this rupture so dangerous was who it targeted. Not China, not Iran, not even the EU, but Canada, America's closest neighbor, largest trading partner, and most reliable ally. Carney believed he could negotiate with Trump. He was wrong. His attempt to thread the needle between Canadian sovereignty and US cooperation failed. Now, Canadian industries, autos, timber, aluminum, could face fresh tariffs, just as they did during Trump's first presidency. And Carney? He faces a choice: delay the tax and look weak, or hold the line and risk an economic war with Washington. Meanwhile, Trump's administration is putting on a different face. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent spent the same day bragging about trade breakthroughs with China, a new deal on rare earth minerals, a supposed revival of critical exports. But the real strategy is simpler: chaos. Trump thrives on disruption. It keeps allies off balance, critics chasing their tails, and media attention locked on him. Allies? They're just potential targets waiting to fall out of line. That's the lesson Europe is drawing. In Brussels, officials are watching the Canada blow-up with growing certainty. If Trump will do this to Canada, no partner is safe. Ursula von der Leyen's team is already drafting a block-wide digital tax of its own. The EU's efforts to regulate platforms, AI and data sovereignty, efforts Washington dislikes, are gaining urgency. Trump's pressure may have the opposite effect, accelerating Europe's push for digital autonomy. And what about Canada? With little leverage and a $349 billion trade surplus in America's favor, Ottawa has few strong cards. Turning to the EU or Indo-Pacific markets could provide some relief. The WTO is paralyzed, thanks again to Trump, so legal recourse is limited. But politically, backing down isn't an option. Trump's history with Canada, from steel tariffs to renegotiated trade deals, has left scars. This latest clash may galvanize Canadian resolve rather than soften it. Markets barely noticed. Wall Street closed the week at record highs. But investors are quietly nervous. Combined with Trump's threats toward Iran, a looming fiscal crisis, and a fragile global supply chain, this isn't just noise. It's risk. And one thing is now clear. The myth of North American unity is dead. NAFTA, USMCA, NORAD, these weren't just acronyms. They were symbols of a post-Cold War belief that North America was a community, shared values, shared goals. Trump has ended that illusion. This wasn't just about a tax, it was a warning shot. The United States, under Trump, recognizes no special relationships, only power dynamics, only winners and losers. And yesterday, Canada became the latest loser. Welcome back to the Trump doctrine. Transactional, volatile, unforgiving. And this time, it starts at home. If you found this breakdown helpful and want more sharp, no-spin analysis on global politics, trade wars, and shifting alliances, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Your support helps us keep cutting through the noise.